Ladies and gentlemen and children of the planet Earth, just when you thought you saw it all, Michael Fazio brings you the face or one of the faces of the gods that appear on the $1 bill. Ladies and gentlemen, notice you are looking at the profile of Tutankhamun. And notice what is behind the profile of Tutankhamun. And notice the bony protrusion at the base of Tutankhamun's chin. And notice the red protrusion at the forehead of Tutankhamun's chin. And notice that they are identical to the faces, that which I call the seraphim, that are the protectorants of the Lord God upon the Ark of the Covenant. Notice, ladies and gentlemen, they are identical in nature because they are one in the same. Something, this remnant race of beings that I talk about in my book, has placed many different faces of God upon the $1 bill. And to prove my point, this eye that appears above the top of the Great Pyramid as the apex is the eye of the Lord God looking at mankind through a portal from heaven. And He has in fact placed all of these things upon the $1 bill to prove its own existence. Because, ladies and gentlemen, at some point in time the Lord God knew we would need this information, because we are coming upon a time in history that this information must be brought to the American public and to the world at large. You notice the bony protrusion when I flipped it around the other way. Notice there is no difference between the Egyptian god Tutankhamun and the god or the face of the seraphim, that which I have been telling people since I published my book on April 15th of 2010 are in fact depictions of gods of Egypt. And to prove my point even further, I'm going to show you the back of Tutankhamun's mane, where you can see a similar in nature diadem that appears on the back of his head as the dais or diadem that projects between the two faces of the seraphim. And ladies and gentlemen, to prove this even further, I am going to show you something quickly. In God We Trust 1, because God made it impossible to know which one He wants you to believe in. Because in fact, on the reverse or of the $1 bill is depictions of both good and evil. And these depictions are depicted and described in my book, aka Angels on the Ark, as depictions of good and evil that have been placed on the reverse of the $1 bill. This is the reverse of the $1 bill. This is a representation of the Lord God and the giver of life, because everything inside this sphere, compass, or circle I have described to you within the volume of my book, which is 1,990 pages of crazy things just like this. Everything inside what I have coined the God Pod is a representation of, in fact, life. Everything inside the evil seed of death, which I have also coined in my book, Angels on the Ark by Michael Fazio, is a representation of death. Even the owl is a killing machine. The eagle itself is a killing machine. Nothing inside the evil seed of death represents life, and everything inside the God Pod represents life. They are the opposites, the yin and the yang, the light and the darkness of the universe. And to prove everything inside the evil seed of death represents death itself, take a good look, ladies and gentlemen. What appears to be an eagle with a glory over its head is in fact a depiction of a nuclear detonation. Inside the eagle's sinister claw, you see 13 arrows. And inside the eagle's dexter claw, which is holding the bow or bough of olive branch, spelled B-A-U or B-O-W, is the bow that shoots the arrows. And in fact, there is even a representation of an Indian chief upon the back of the $1 bill, holding the bow and arrows above its head, which is also a representation of the 44th POTUS, because in fact the measurement that exists on the plateau, table, or mantle of the Great Pyramid is 44 feet by 44 feet in measurement. And that is compounded by the fact that above George Washington's head is also a mantle that is the same measurement as the mantle of the Great Pyramid, and is represented by the blue arrow as 2 dashes on either side of George Washington's head, 2 candy cane-like objects with 4 dashes on either side of George Washington's head, representing the number 44, because George Washington was the first president, or the alpha, and Barack Hussein Obama will be the last because he is the 44th POTUS. And Michelle Bachmann, in all likelihood, will become the president because a faction of entities that are of a negative nature have taken over the political structure of this world. Ladies and gentlemen, all of this is in my book, aka Angels on the Ark by Michael Fazio. And this is an exact depiction of the Ark of the Covenant to scale. So when we get an engineer that takes my book and rips it apart with the measurements that I have, you will find out that this object that appears inside the white borders on the reverse of the $1 bill is an exact replica of the Ark of the Covenant. These are the 4 handles where man meets God and is the only place that is allowed to be touched by a human being. This is a representation of the Lord God's first commandment, in God we trust one, and this is a representation of Satan that you can only see when you turn the bill upside down as Satan turns your world upside down. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, what you are looking at is a representation of Satan within the evil seat of death, and you are looking at a portrait of the Lord God viewing you from heaven through his portal at the apex of the Great Pyramid. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point in time, I would once again like to say thank you for your kindness and your kind words that you have sent me for the videos that I have made. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the crazy guy from Howard Beach saying, have a nice day and God day to you.